The moment it is lost forever. You cannot use money to buy that. And that's why I see that these kind of decisions, they're not taking into cognizance the morale of the staff. The people should, somebody will say, okay, in the next 35 years or the next 30 years, I should be at this level. And situations like this will definitely, erode such hope.
We have a question in Abuja, but just before we go to Abuja, people will argue that if the service chiefs, for instance, have recorded this level of success, especially Buratai, the army chief, who fought Boko Haram and recovered so many areas that was captured and was hoisted by Boko Haram's flag, if he was able to achieve that level of success, then perhaps you still need him, with the experience that he has, to sustain that war. Has
Buratai reached 35 years? I don't think so, in service.
So it's okay that he remains a service.
I still think that he still have some more, years or months to still spend. But I want you to look at it from this angle. Prior to the appointment of Buratai, do you know about Buratai before? Have you heard of him before? I've never heard of him. But Mr. President brought him. The same way he searched for Buratai, he will also search for Buratais. There are a lot of Buratais in the Nigerian army that he can always identify and appoint them. And that is what that will say is that, you are promoting excellence. That when I am good at what I do, Mr. President will search for me. Even if I'm posted to the remotest part of the Nigerian army or the Nigerian Navy structure, Mr. President will search for me, will check record, he will search for me, and he will bring me out.
But are you satisfied with the synergy? Important. Are you satisfied with the kind of synergy between the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force?
No, excellent. In terms of performance, I don't have any reason to fault them. But the issue is this: structure and the rules should be followed.
Okay, let's take in a question from Ajuri in Abuja. Ajuri, go ahead.
Fascinating conversation. Mr. Adetayo, really, I just want to kind of ask you one question about, this notion that if the these service chiefs who have now been retained, that their retention somehow kind of dampers this notion of mediocrity within the security services. There's an alternative argument out there that if the president can see somebody who is excellent in their position, doing what they're doing, and he makes an independent judgment that these people are the best suited to do what he needs them to do operationally, that in itself is a mark of honor toward those men who have been retained. Now, the question I have is about the fact that, like in the security services, we know that there are people who are retired as majors, for example. There are people who are retired as colonels, for example. There are people who are retired as brigadier general, for example. So many people don't even reach the point of being a service chief anyway, and all of us are aware of this. The ratio is massive when you talk about one in how many become a service chief in their careers. So is it not too simplistic to say that because these service chiefs have been retained, that all of a sudden a low-level officer will now say to himself, well, in 35 years, I'm not going to be a service chief, when we know that about 99-point-something% of those who are enlisting will never become a service chief anyway?
I think you are actually getting the statistics wrong. You see, there are those that came for short service, under short service commission, and they know that by the time they get to the rank of a colonel, it requires another set of approval for them to be elevated to the general level. So most, usually they get retired at that particular rank. And there are those that actually were upgraded into a commission after serving as in the junior rank. So definitely it's going to affect the numbers of years they are going to. You see, you need to have this understanding that when someone is joining any of the military or paramilitary organization, he has his goal. The goal is that one day I'm going to be at the top of my career. And for those that are starting as commission right from the beginning, and by the time they calculate it, they should be at that particular level. And the moment that hope is eroded, you see, I'm not faulting the president's decision. Like I said, that to me, the decision is more political than being strategic, and because and I've given reasons why I felt so. He has a right to decide who should be at every point in time. The same way he brought Colonel Ali from many years of retirement to come and head customs, and I've not had so much bad report, unlike in the past as it used to be. So the man is working, so to speak. So it is his decision to decide. Well, but at the end of the day, you need to look at the implication of every decision taken. Remember when people said that the reason why corruption became so entrenched in the civil service was because President Obasanjo or General Obasanjo retired the way he retired civil servant in those days when he was military general. That thing affected a whole lot of things in the civil service. So we need to look at the long-time effects of decisions like this. It's not because that the reason he gave is not good enough, but what is the implication on the long run? And that is what I'm trying to say. That yes, these guys are good, but are they the best? Are they? I mean, are we saying that in the whole Nigerian Army, Nigerian Navy, Nigerian Air Force, we don't have fantastic, excellent officers that can take over from them? What happens to succession planning? It is very, very important. It's the reason why, one of the reasons why we're having problems in this country. Succession planning. How many people have we mentored to take over leadership? It is very, very key. When you are taking this decision, you are telling the whole world that you don't have mentorship program in place, you don't have good succession planning in place.